Okay, so in this exercise we have already imported our data set from an Excel spreadsheet that we want to use with SAP Predictive Analysis. Here we're going to actually modify the data a little bit to prepare it for later visualization and predictive analysis. So you'll notice we're under the Prepare pane. And after we've imported the data, we'll notice that all of the variables that we have brought in are set as attributes to the data. There's a few interesting things that we are immediately drawn to as we look through the attributes. For example, if we look at the date that the set was released, we'll notice that in this column here it's captured in the month, day, year format. And SAP, if we hover over the date set released option and click on it here, and we click on creating a time hierarchy, because it sensed that this was a date that the set was released, it automatically split this data up into additional variables for us that it's now placed inside the hierarchy menu of the object picker. So we now have a column set uniquely for the year. We have a column uniquely set for day. Now in this case, our day variable is not very exciting. It's all ones. This is because when we captured the date the particular Magic the Gathering set was released, it's always released on the first of the month. And we also have that it was what month it was captured in, August, and also the quarter as well. So because SAP recognized this as a date, it was able to immediately split these into a set of unique things, which we can check for seasonality, trends, and other times as well. We'll also notice that some of these variables are the kind of variables that we're likely to want to use not just to organize our data, but actually as some sort of concrete measurement. Probably the most representative of this is if we look at the price variable, single price variable. The single price variable, clicking on it brings me over to it, is the actual price that this card was going for on the secondary market and online retailers at the time. So you can imagine that we might want to make some bar charts related to what explains the pricing of these particular variables. So we're going to switch this variable and not make it just an attribute, but we're actually going to make it a measurement variable that we're going to utilize later. Let's go ahead and click on this. And let's actually create a measure here. And if I go up here and I look under my measures, I'll see that I now have a single price as a summation variable. And we can change from min, max, count, and average. I'm going to switch this over to average very quickly, and we'll see why this is useful for us quickly here. Let's go to visualization, clicking on the visualize button here. We'll make a very simple bar chart. So I just want to see if, let's see, the color of the card. So I'm going to drag this onto my x-axis. And I have, let's see, a series of colors, B, C, L, G, gold, R, U, W. These stand for white, blue, red, gold, green, colorless, black, and apparently uncolored. So those are our bins. Let's see what the average price of a Magic card, if it varies across these individual prices here. Now, if I just went and actually grabbed the single price while it was a attribute variable, notice how I cannot drop a dimension object into a measurement field. See how this menu pops up? But because I made it a measurement variable, I can easily drag this into my y-axis. And we very much quickly see that the average price, because I set it as average, of a colorless card is substantially higher than of some of the other colors. I can always switch this over to sum. Now we're actually summing up the total value of each individual card across the different levels of colors. And we could also do the maximum. So we see that the most valued colorless card in the Magic secondary market is nearly $5,000. Again, that is the notorious Black Lotus card, while there is apparently a blue card somewhere going for nearly $2,300. So that's how we take some of our variables here and turn them into measurements we can later use for analysis. But let me show you one more interesting thing that we can do here. If I go back to my data view, if I scroll down to my object picker at the bottom here, you'll notice that there was a little box here that said 30 semantic elements detected. This is basically SAP's way of saying we believe that there might be some things you want to do with these data that we've imported. So let's go to show. And this is based on some internal algorithm it uses to guess what this data might be. And basically we have a series of variables here listed. These are all variables in my data set. And based on its scanning of the data, SAP Predictive Analysis thinks that we probably also want to make measures of these data. Like we actually want to use these, for example, as the y-axis on a bar chart at some point. Okay, fair enough. For the time variable, we already have a time variable set as a date set released. And then we also have the ability, SAP actually recognizes the potential for a variable to be a geographic variable, say country, state, latitude, and longitude, I think zip codes. In this case, it thought that there was a variable called color, and it thought that this might be the subregion to some area. That's actually incorrect. So I just simply click remove. And again, the rarity of a card, they think it might be a subregion of a geographic space. Again, that we know, because we know the data, that makes no sense, so we remove that. But otherwise, things look pretty good here, so let's go ahead and click enrich. And if you look up here, actually, because we already had created the time date hierarchy data earlier, we now have duplicates. There's nothing wrong with that, but we have duplicates. We can actually go ahead and delete the second one we just made. And we'll actually notice here that we've now added all of these other variables up to our measure list. They're still attributes. They're still down here in the attribute list. Now they're just also added up here into the measurement list, and we can grab again their sum, min, max, average, and so on. So this is one of the ways that we sort of prepare our data for analysis inside SAP Predictive Analysis. This is just an introduction.